Hey, you guys, welcome to another morning workout talk on the way to the gym. It's April 8th, 4:28 a.m. Headed there. Been having a lot on my mind lately, as I always do. That's I don't want to say that's the downside or upside. I just think that's just a reality that we all have to face. It's having things on your mind. Everyone does, depending on your day, depending on what you have going on in your life, it's going to be on your mind. And how you allow those things to impact you is a whole nother story. But processing those things in your head is just as equally as important as the things you do outwardly. So externally, how you respond is important, but internally, how you process those things are equally or more important. So if you don't process things correctly in your head, it's going to dictate how you handle those things externally in terms of your day-to-day actions. I can't really pinpoint the my exact I don't want to call it angst. I'm not anxious. It's not angst. It goes back to that feeling I had a couple of weeks back where I felt a sense of maybe this is not even the correct word. I would call it a sense of emptiness per se, but it's not even emptiness. It's just, I just think it's just the mundane aspects of life. Like the waking up every morning, the gym, work, just that alone. Not that I hate going to the gym. That's not the point. It's just, I feel deep within me that there's more to life than what we are giving. And it goes back to the terminology that was coined by somebody, I can't remember who the guy was, calling this planet that we live on a prison planet. And though you may think you're not in prison, which is fine, but prison comes in all different shapes and forms. You have mental prisons, psychological prisons, which most of us are in. You have the physical prisons, like the prison. And then you also have wage slavery, which is a form of a prison as well. And most of us, out of those three that I just mentioned, most of us are, operating in 2 out of the 3 of those prisons. All right? And, most of us are not in the prison, like in the jails or anything like that. But most of us are wage slaves, and most of us are psychologically trapped in the fact that we can't escape this third dimensional reality that keeps us constrained to the physical. And we can't expand beyond that. Now, some of us, when we go to sleep, we have dreams. And believe it or not, sometimes the dreams are better than the things that we experience in real life. There's a sense of euphoria in the dreams that we have. They tend to place upon the mind an escape from what we normally see. And when you are at rest, that's when you are at most at peace. When you are at rest, i.e. sleeping, that's when you are closest to your soul. I would argue that being awake is being asleep, and being asleep is being awake. Because that's when your mind is at rest, when you're sleeping. And then you can actually start delving deep into those subconscious states of awareness that you normally don't tap into. But yeah, I know life is hard, guys. It is, and life is not one big party. I mean, it is at some point when you're young and you don't have any responsibilities, and you have people who are the ones taking care of you. then life becomes something that's just a party, because you don't have there's no sense of accountability whatsoever. You just do whatever the hell you want. But we'll get there. And like I think I said this before on the morning workout talk, the older I get, the more, my sensitivity towards my mortality starts to increase. I think about death more, especially seeing the things that my mom is experiencing in her older age. I've experienced transitioning before, where my dad transitioned, what you guys consider death. But you guys know what I believe about death. I don't think that energy never dies. The body may die, but the soul continues to live on. Where that soul goes, I don't know. But I don't believe that once a person dies, that's it for them. I believe we are souls. And so I've experienced that before when I was 15, my dad transitioning. And even then, when you're young, you think you're immortal. You think that you're never gonna experience those things, but we all do. Everyone who is born will have a day that they will transition, or what you guys consider death. So I've been having more of those thoughts for myself lately, seeing what my mother's going through, and I have mixed feelings about it. And that's where that life is much more than this starts to erupt within my consciousness. I start to think of, okay, is this it? You just live and get old and you go. And then that's when you get the insertion of religious dogma that tends to, plague the minds of the majority of people. I'll call them simpletons, because I think world religions, I believe and strongly hold to this sentiment that the majority of world religions and people who subscribe to those world religions, that's at the bottom, that's at the base of spirituality. That's the lowest form of spiritual consciousness. When you need a book to tell you what's right from wrong, when you have to subscribe to literature written by the hands of men, with extraterrestrial influences, of course, manipulated words that are given the name as being words from a creator, that in itself shows the simplicity of the human mind and how deep we will go to make sense of our reality. And that's what it is. It's people who don't, and not everyone does. I'm not saying I do. But just because I don't know everything does not mean that I'm going to subscribe to anything. So you end up putting yourself in that same cipher. You don't know anything, but you subscribe to anything. So you still at the end don't know anything. But many people are comfortable with that because they believe that there's some ultimate source, or they call it God, that knows everything. And there is a source, an ultimate source. I've stated this numerous times on videos. I don't perceive that source to be the God of any book or the God of any worldly religion. All those gods of worldly religions are nothing but created beings who came on this planet many, many, many million years ago, did certain things on the planet, causing people to have this idea that this entity is a God of some sort. And simpletons, as human beings, Homo sapiens sapiens, decided to say, hey, let's just worship these beings, these entities, because they clearly know things that we don't know, and they can do things that we can't do. But you have to ask yourselves, who created them? So the ultimate source of consciousness is not anything that could be, described with physicality. It's not a gender. It's a power, it's a force, it's a vibration. That's the source. But I don't even worship that. We're not made to worship anything. We're just made to live. Whatever state of consciousness that you're in, live to your highest self. That's the ultimate goal of life. Govern yourself within the confines of common law, not these stupid ass statutes that the government tries to put on our heads with all these million laws, not all these rules, not 10 commandments, none of that. They're just 3 common laws. Don't hurt anybody, don't lie, and don't steal. I mean, that's simply it. It's pretty simple. We can govern ourselves. We don't need a book to tell us what's right from wrong. So to me, that's people who think that they're religious because they subscribe to certain religions are at the bottom, because they use that as a way to explain everything away. Oh, but the reason why the world's like this is because people aren't doing this, people aren't doing that. That's the built-in excuse for why the world is the way it is, not knowing that we are in a prison planet and we are being governed by extraterrestrials. This has nothing to do with some savior that's going to come save you. That there is no savior. When you are in a deep world of mess and you are calling on this God to come help you and he doesn't come, then you'll realize there is no God. Not the sense of God that you think of. There's a source, there's an ultimate source of consciousness. And that ultimate source of consciousness resides in you. You are part of that ultimate source of consciousness. So you have to govern yourself like the God that you think is the savior. You are your own savior. And not saving yourself from souls, saving yourself from anything. Saving yourself from trouble on this earth. Saving yourself from making dumbass decisions on this earth. See, you have to start with the simple things that you can see. Start with the most base principles. Saving yourself is not saving yourself only from hell. Oh, I don't want to go to hell and God is going to take me. I'm saved. I got to be saved so I can be in heaven. That's not it. It has nothing to do with going to heaven. Heaven is a mind state. How you function mentally is your mind state. Some people are in hell right now. Mentally ill people are in hell. They can't make sense of their reality. Some people living in 24/7 state of paranoia. That's a hell. Some people living in fear. Crippled by fear. That's a hell. Fear is an emotional toxin. On Hawkins consciousness scale, an inverted pyramid scale that shows you where the thin point is at the bottom. So the pyramid is inverted. It's flipped upside down. Hawkins consciousness scale. And it tells you on there the way we function in this reality that we live in, especially here in America, we are living in hell. Most of our actions are dictated by fear. Most people are angry. Most people are anxious and envious. All those are emotional states of consciousness that reside at the most bottom, at the bottom in terms of when you're classifying the states of consciousness. And actually, that bottom aspect is hell. It says hell. You have hell, and I think the highest is like the state of transcendence. That's when you transcend everything. And there's hardly anybody on this planet that lives that high, because your mind can't even. Our minds are incapable of reaching those lengths. It takes a high degree of discipline and a lot of effort and energy taken to get to that state. And you have to start doing that at a very, very young age. It's not something you just pick up and say, okay, I want to transcend. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I wish it did. So, yeah. So those things. So that's why when you start thinking of your own, of your own death or your own state of transitioning, you start to kind of, look at life with a more cerebral touch. And things that were important when you were younger are not important anymore. And perhaps I'm just speaking for myself. Maybe at my age now, maybe that's just me. Maybe some of you guys don't think that way, but I do. And I see on my channel, when I look at my analysis, it shows that the majority of my listeners are in like their 40s and 50s. So I'm talking to the right crowd because I'm in my 40s. So I can but I can speak for myself, or maybe I'm speaking for some of you guys as well, because you start to look at certain things differently. And that's just the age of maturity. That's how, people talking about, you're a sinner and then you become wiser and then you become, no. we all make mistakes. We all do things that, you know, that accentuates our animalistic self. And I say animalistic self because our soul and our bodies are two different things. You know, our bodies and souls are functioning at two contrasting paths. Our soul is usually antithetical to the body. The body usually craves things that are on the baser side, the lower side, sexual pleasure, food, you know, being enticed by things just for the experience of marveling at anything. Most of the things that the flesh gravitates to are things that are predicated on the external. Kind of, we sort of overlook the things that are internal, the spiritual aspects, the feminine energy that calms people down, that helps you to meditate and look within yourself. We tend to bypass that, and we marginalize that for the most part, because this realm that we live in, everything that's being thrown at us is thrown at us from a vantage point of a way to get to our flesh, to get to our animal side, our baser side, whether it's porn addictions, sex addictions, food addictions, materialism, people who like to hoard things. All those things are the physical, but we're not in tune with our spiritual side, the internal side, and we need both to function harmoniously in order to have a balanced mindset. Not that the animal side is totally negative. It's just that you can't be overwhelmed by the external, so much so that you forget the internal. All right. And so, because I have that balance, I tend to have moments where the normal world would say, "Oh, he's sad or depressed." No, I'm not sad or depressed. There are times when I have deep thoughts about my mortality, and that's a normal thing to have. Not that I'm dying today or anything like that, but I think about my kids. I look in the future to wonder how they're going to be when they get older. I wonder how I'm going to be when I get older. I look at the state of my mom's mindset. I often think to myself, "Wow, am I going to be like that when I get older?" In terms of my mindset, which is why I'm doing everything that I can now in my power to make sure that I feed my brain the nutrients that it needs. If you look at my videos, I talk about geoengineering. I talk about all the toxins, all the toxic chemicals that are being sprayed upon us from jet engines. You know, the aerosol injections that they're putting upon us daily, the things that we're breathing in that we don't see. Again, we're so focused on the things that we see that we don't understand that the things that we don't see are the things that are causing the most damage to our bodies, and also to our biosphere, to the sphere that we live in. So so I have those thoughts, and I think it's normal to have those thoughts about your mortality, or having thoughts that are deeper than the mundane. You know, people wake up, they're worrying about what they're going to eat for breakfast. People are automatically slaves of time. I'm a slave of time. I'd be a liar to tell you I'm not, because why do you think I wake up at a certain time to get to the gym at a certain time, so I can get out at a certain time to make it to work at a certain time? Time is the master of all men. Time is the master of all men. And there's no way to conquer time. The only way you could conquer time is to extract yourself from this reality, and good luck with doing that. The only way you can extract yourself from this reality is to cease from this reality, is to transition from this reality and go into another time space capsule that doesn't have a time space capsule. You know, this is a book that I'm reading as well. I'm probably going to start doing a book study on that too, about how the existence we live in right now is nothing but a result of a hollow fractal universe, meaning that it's like a computer system that we are governed by. It's like the internet runs on a code. The reality that we live in runs on a code, and that code has time put in, but time does not really exist. It only exists in the minds of the people who are governed by it. I know it's sort of deep. I can't really delve into the details right now because I don't have the information off the top of my head, but some of the information that I'm reading in that book is very, very interesting, to say the least. It is. And I'm going to continue to read it, though. But yeah, we're governed by time. And so sometimes it's good to step out of time, even though time still exists around us. Step out of it and start thinking of things that are outside of time. So when I'm thinking about my mortality, it's outside of time because I'm not there yet. I'm living in the now. All right. I enjoy the fact that I'm not governed, or I don't have anything that controls me, in the sense that I'm not a slave of anything. Now, I am a wage slave. I understand that, because I have to. I cannot not go to work and say to hell with it. I have children. I can't put them in that position. Maybe if I was single and I didn't have anybody who was dependent upon me, then I can do whatever the hell I wanted. I can go off grid, you know. But not with children. I can't do that. That's too selfish. So I have to make that sacrifice and commit to slavery of a wage slave to make sure that I have a roof over their heads and they have food to eat. So apart from what being a wage slave, that's the only thing that I'm confined to. Other than that, there's nothing that controls me. My wife doesn't control me. My mom doesn't control me. The God of the Bible that many of you guys serve doesn't control me. I do whatever the hell I want. And just because you hear people say they do what they want, people automatically attach a negative connotation to that. There's a negative stigmatization that's attached to people saying they do whatever they want, because we automatically think that when somebody does whatever they want, that they're going to be doing something bad. There goes that fear of losing control, because you need to be controlled. We are born with a slave gene, folks, with a slave gene that was inserted inside of our DNA when we were created, but we have the ability to turn it off or on. This is according to the Sumerian text. I've turned my shit, excuse my language, I've turned my stuff off. I've turned my stuff off. And doing what I want to do is actually empowering. I don't do anything evil. Actually, I do what I want to do, and I have a justification for what I do, why I do it, a base, sound-minded rationale behind my efforts. My motives are more clear. I don't have the sense of guilt because, I didn't go to church on Sunday. I haven't gone to church in a couple of months now. Does this mean that God is not pleased with me? Well, I better go to church and read my Bible and go to Bible study so God can see that I'm in his word. I'm not governed by any of that crap. I govern myself according to the things that I prioritize. I prioritize myself first, prioritize my wife and my kids. Just in that damn order. Because if I don't take care of myself, how the hell can I take care of my wife? And if I can't take care of my wife, how can we together collectively as a unified front take care of our damn children? I mean, it works that way. You have people who are going to church every Sunday, they stay in church all day, but if you look at their health, they are deteriorating. They don't spend time for themselves. They don't look within. They're always looking out. I need somebody to help me. My breakthrough. God, my Savior. You need people that have saved themselves from themselves. We are our worst enemy. Our mind states, as feeble as it is usually the culprit to our own demise. An AK-47 is great in the hand of a person that knows how to control it. But put in the hands of somebody who doesn't know how to use it properly can cause massive destruction. And the mind is just as such. It's a powerful tool. It can be used for destruction, destroying your own self, or it can be used as a tool to liberate yourself from yourself. All right, it's 4:51. Let me start getting my stuff ready to make sure I get in this line on time. Thank you guys for indulging me in another morning workout talk. I know these topics are just random. I really don't have a set topic like I do in my other videos, but like I said, I like being consistent. It's something that I started to do, and I'm going to continue to do it. And thank you for the 1 or 2 people that view the video. At least it's not 0. If I was getting no views, and I would have to rethink my approach. But even if I was getting 0 views, I would still do it anyway. I would still do it because it's sort of therapeutic to have these talks. Because even though I don't have a physical person right in front of me listening to me, but just talking it out and expelling these thoughts that I have within me, just to put it out in the atmosphere, is sort of soothing and therapeutic to me. So I would continue to do it. I wouldn't stop. But thank you guys for listening and indulging me for another morning workout talk. All right, thank you. Till I see you guys on Wednesday. All right, bye.